Interim Women's Championship was next. Toni Storm, Britt Baker, Serena Deeb, and Athena. Athena came out wearing this. I think this was on Vince McMahon's wall in his office prior. She got this in the rummage sale. Yes. So we start off early on. There's a Tower of Doom spot with Toni taking the superplex portion of it. For the Canadian viewers out there that are not watching on TSN2, you missed one of the worst commercials I've ever seen in my life for Auto Trader. It is like the worst acted commercial I can imagine. It's
Remind
awful.
me.
I can't. It's just bad. It's just like, it's a terribly acted ad that just feels like we had nobody else to shoot this ad with. That's all. That's my only observation I have. So for Canadian viewers, you can look for it, because guaranteed these ads that TSN2 runs, we will see 100 of these over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Spinning neck breakers, first from Baker, then later Deeb hit one. There was also a dragon screw to Athena. Deeb locked on the Serenity lock, but Baker broke that up with a super kick. And then Athena has Britt Baker on her back, and Deeb runs at her, and she catches Deeb. So she goes to throw both of them, and she comes down and like nearly crushed Baker's head. And I thought, oh dude,
this was it. This was
the spot. Nose. Yeah, okay. This was the spot. At first, I thought she was concussed because it looked like this nasty landing on her head. And then you see her and her nose is busted open. So it looks like, I mean, geez, a broken nose versus a concussion. Like, I mean, concussion, you really don't want to be.
We don't know about, like, if there's any head trauma, like we wouldn't.
It could have been like when you go back and watch this, like her head was in a really bad spot when Athena came down. Like it just looked terrible. So who knows what the prognosis will be? But
this was we saw Top Dollar do a similar spot. On
they
Friday.
Just did this on Friday. You're right. This was the Top Dollar did it with 3 of them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this was very much the same idea. So Baker is off into the corner. You can see something is wrong. The referee is tending to her, and you can see her busted up nose. And the announcers are immediately conjuring up the image of Britt Baker injuring her nose in the past. And when you rack up the injuries that this woman has had in some of her matches, it's from the wrist, the nose again.
No doubt it's concerning. But you also know that in Britt Baker's mind, she's thinking,
T-shirt.
Awesome. Yeah. How do I take advantage of this? Because the last time this happened, like I would say that to me, that was the turning point in her AEW, in her professional wrestling career. We will remember the image of her bloody nose forever, when we're talking about Britt Baker. And I thought like the wheels were immediately in motion in her mind on how she could use this.
Well, Athena does this cool slingshot off the top rope into these double knees onto Toni Storm, which looked really cool. Deeb is sent to the floor, and then it's a tornado DDT by Storm to Athena, and Baker comes back, kicking her in the shin, goes for the crucifix, but Storm counters with her own crucifix, pinning Baker in 9:49 to retain the interim championship.
I thought it was a really entertaining sprint. They never let up the pace for the entire duration, including during these commercials. Even the Auto Trader commercial, they didn't stop. They didn't stop to let us focus on the Auto Trader commercial. I think as is often the case with like the AEW women's division, it wasn't without really with the wrestling in general. It wasn't without blemishes. It felt like there were times where the speed was kind of traded in for the expense of like a bit of tightness in the wrestling. But I was engaged and entertained throughout it all. And it felt like it very much like, like belonged on this like very high caliber work rate show.
Yeah. This felt like, it felt like 5 big matches on this show, like to your takeover analogy. Like every match had its role on the show. So Toni Storm retains, but I would say the big takeaway was just hopefully Baker is okay, because it just looked like a really ugly landing.
Yeah.
So, but she finished the match and did all the post-match stuff. So, that would seem like at least, if you were concerned about like a concussion, I would hope that they would not be allowing her to continue this. So hopefully it's just the nose. So she attacks Toni Storm to boos until Jamie Hayter runs down, and she looks at Britt Baker. And then they join in on the attack. And this is where our argument last week, I think I defer to you on this one, because this was one too many of the are they going to or are they not? And then they join in together.
I was extremely disappointed by this. And because like I'm not disappointed by like this night alone, but it's more so the fact that they've already done this. Like they've done the are they friends or aren't they friends thing with Hayter and Baker. Like I think months passed or years, maybe a year passed. I don't know, but it felt like this time around was when Hayter was actually gaining, babyface momentum, and that's really difficult to come by, especially if you're a women's wrestler in AEW, and to just have it be squandered back into. Haha, got you guys. She's actually still with Britt Baker. To me, it just like it signals that Hayter is still back in a sidekick role rather than a principal role herself. And I also worry that the next time you try this, the audience isn't going to care anymore. So I was disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, historically, sometimes like this can be an effective way where you tease it and you make the audience really want it, but. You just did this last week and then you do it again. And this one felt like, to be quite honest, I would say if you're going in this direction that you are going to do the breakup, I don't think I would have even involved Hayter here. Like if you're going to do Saraya with Baker, Jamie Hayter didn't need to be an afterthought in this segment. You could have withheld her from this entire segment if that's the direction, or if Saraya coming in has paused all of that direction, which would be unfortunate because you've been putting a lot of stock into this buildup.
Yeah. And that remains a question. That was kind of my immediate reaction was like, was Saraya always going to be a part of this? And did her coming in affect whatever they were going to do with Jamie Hayter as a babyface? I don't think that's a good excuse, quite frankly, because like you're basically taking another WWE star and giving her the role that you were going to give to somebody that, was an AEW non-WWE wrestler.
I really don't think that would be the case where that's just dropped cold because of this. I couldn't imagine this being, that affecting things to that degree.
What was honestly the point? What was honestly the point of everything involving Jamie Hayter and Baker?
Well, again,
all we're going back to is just this.
Well, I guess it's, again, I don't think she needed to be part of this segment. I guess they could argue that, Jamie Hayter is part of this Baker story, that they want to have them linked here for whenever they do this, but it's getting a little convoluted now. I
would have just simply kept her. Yeah, I would agree. Fine. Even if Saraya is coming in, I would have kept her out of the segment, or I would have had Hayter get beaten down, and then Saraya can come in, and then you team those two together. I just wanted to see like Jamie Hayter evolve and advance into a different role than being the sidekick to Britt Baker, and this feels like it's reverted back to that.
So they deliver the stomp to Athena. Deeb also joins in on the attack with Baker and Hayter. And as Baker puts on the glove, that's when the music plays and Saraya makes her arrival in AEW to a thunderous pop. Comes out, the ring clears, and they really let this sit. It wasn't just she comes out, boom, we cut. It was everyone reacting to her. It was a gigantic reaction. I think this and the Acclaimed were the big two moments on the show when it came to the loudest the crowd got. And it would certainly lead you to believe with the All Elite graphic that not only is Saraya coming in, but that she's going to wrestle, which she has not done in 5 years.
It would be quite disappointing if she was simply signed to, I don't know, like a general manager's contract. By the way, like AEW has signed like I think 4 of like the last five or 3 of the last 4, I think, official SmackDown general managers. And
yeah, people were joking. They pretty much signed like WWE backstage as well, minus Renee.
Yeah, there you go. So, but yeah, it would be disappointing if she was simply coming in as like a speaking role and not wrestling, because I think that's what everybody is looking forward to. It's a big deal. It's not only arguably the biggest name that they've ever signed to the women's division, at least on a mainstream level. She's also somebody who hasn't wrestled due to injury in such a long time, so you could promote several of those things. Does it mean she's healthy and she's cleared? I'm sure we'll find out in the days to come. Do you think? How big of a difference maker do you think Paige Saraya is to AEW?
I think that I think it's if she's cleared and she can go, I think it's a big star to add to your women's division. I don't think this is like a Sasha Banks level, but I don't know how many women you could really put at that level. They're very few, and they're under contract elsewhere. So I think it's a very sizable one for them. Like it's a big star for this division. You have the intrigue of seeing her wrestle, and again, like I hope like not all neck injuries are equal. So when we have seen other people come back, it doesn't mean like this is just a catch-all that anyone who has had, neck injuries, it's just there's a magic healing to it. So I would really hope that she is, if she's cleared, like it's that she's okay to go, because if she is healthy, like she is young enough that it's, she hasn't wrestled for 5 years. I mean, that's a great addition for your women's division. It's a great opponent for Britt Baker. It's a great opponent for a lot of people. And she's someone that has a lot of experience on television. She's a great talker and people are very familiar with her.
And she brings yes, she's not necessarily Sasha Banks, but she does bring a whole different audience to, watching AEW. Like she's a big success on Twitch. She had a movie made about her starring, Florence Pugh, for crying out loud. So, I'm sure she doesn't come cheap, especially, given the Fightful report that WWE was also interested. But I do think she's a worthy investment for this division, especially now that the Sasha conversation has kind of died down. I mean, I don't know how much, credibility there was even to any of that to begin with.